Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Software Architecture Bootcamp. Before we start this particular bootcamp series, which I guess is going to be pretty long, I'll start with my introduction first. After the introduction, I will also tell you what kind of audience, that is you, this session is for. What my expectations from you would be. I'll also tell you what you should expect from this bootcamp itself, from these sessions, and most importantly, what not to expect. It's very important to set those expectations right, right? So let's start. So here I am, the same old guy. I have been programming since I was probably 15 years old. That means we go way back to the 1980s. Wow. And back in the late 1980s, my dad, who was a mechanical engineer and he traveled in different countries, from UK, he bought me a Sinclair's ZX Spectrum. It was a home computer, looked like a keyboard, did not have mouse, monitor, hard disk, floppy disk, nothing. Absolutely no secondary storage. You needed to connect your TV with the computer using a RF cable, and you know how we used to store programs? You needed to store programs in, guess what? Audio cassettes. And it had just 48 kilobytes of RAM. And yet, there were so many games available on this, which, of course, as a monitor, we use the TV and the keyboard was our keyboard. And I'm talking about late 1980s and early 90s when the PCs did not hit our homes. So this was a very, very popular gaming machine, mostly for the people who had money to afford this. I remember that in those times it used to cost some 5,000 Indian bucks. Like a true rich dad's spoiled brat, I played a lot of games all the time. Here is an example of actual gameplay. Watch it and it's fun. The game is called Contra. Do not underestimate by the quality of the graphics. Of course, the graphics quality was not good in those days, not even in the PCs. But it had fantastic logic, fantastic gameplay, it had a very high retention power, and you get hooked to it. But imagine this was all done using an 8-bit computer and with only 48 kilobytes of I mean, your mobile today has a couple of thousand times more RAM than that particular company had. And I used to play a lot of games, and one day I got bored. Now, I wanted games of a specific type. Hence, I decided to write my own games. If you have to write a graphical game in that 48 KB capacity, you really need to write tight code. So the only options were assembly language and C. Problem was I did not have a C compiler. So for me, it had to be assembly language. I spent hours, days, months to learn how to write code in assembly language, how to write code that fits in that small brain. how to represent data that has the minimal space complexity, and also, of course, how to design and how to code the graphical elements, the sprites, how they move and how they, how the explosion happens and all that. And that was the beginning of my programming journey in my career. Some 35 years have passed, and I'm still a hands-on coder, sitting with a luxurious 64 GB RAM laptop and recording this session. From 48 KB to 64 GB RAM. Wow. Professionally, I think I've coded in probably some 8 to 10 programming languages throughout my career. And today, also, I'm very much hands-on with many modern programming languages for different platforms like Windows or Linux or Android or iOS in embedded systems. Thanks to our software industry, I've had the opportunity to work in almost all continents except Africa's. And I'm sure that it will happen someday. In short, I'm very, very passionate about technology. And when I say technology, it's not just programming and database and AI. I'm equally passionate about electrical. I'm equally passionate about electronics. I'm equally passionate about mechanics. So I started this bootcamp session not for really monetary gain, though I won't mind if few bucks trickle in. So please do subscribe this channel and like the videos and share with your friends. And of course, I started this bootcamp session also to share my knowledge. Throughout my career, I have taught a lot of people just out of nothing. Like it was not my profession, but I love teaching. So whether they are my colleagues, whether they're my juniors, whether they are some outsiders outside the company I worked for, I loved teaching and I still love. And this channel is also, it'll reflect my passion for teaching, my passion for, sharing my knowledge, whatever I know. A lot of people told me that you should start a channel. I never had that somehow time or the courage. Now that I have gathered that courage to do it, I promise I'll be diligently uploading sessions in a well thought of sequence. And so that's in a nutshell who I am. Now let me tell you what kind of audience is this bootcamp for. You are the audience. You could be a school or college student who know a bit of programming. It is definitely for engineers between anywhere between 1 to 8 years of experience. And in some ways, it is also for some managers who want to brush up their long lost knowledge, especially the technical project managers, technical managers. To really gain from this bootcamp, you need to go through every video in sequence for the next couple of months in your own sweet time. Please do not skip a particular class just because you know that topic already. For example, let's say there is a session on abstract factory pattern. Don't worry about what it means today if you don't know. But assuming you know what is abstract factory design pattern and you are very well aware of that. Still, my suggestion for you would be that you attend the session, my class. Because when you listen to a topic from a different person's point of view, from different kind of examples that that person brings to the table, there is always a thing or two you learn. So that's the great benefit, right? I will also expect you to write in the comment section below for each of the videos, apart from your feedback, like how you liked it and all that. Write about any questions, any technical doubt that you have. I can promise you that I will surely revert. It may not be the same day, it may not be immediate, but I will definitely come back and revert. You may also email me. I will reply as soon as I can about technical stuff only, of course. Don't ask me to solve your college projects. Don't ask me to solve your some technical problem or something. They should be, your questions should always be related to my classes. My email ID is given in the description below in every video. It's the same old guy 2023 at gmail.com. And now comes what not to expect from this session. This is very, very important. what not to expect, so that expectations are set correctly. The name of this bootcamp is Software Architecture Bootcamp, and it is not how to become an architect. There's a subtle difference in that. This bootcamp will not make you an architect out of you. Rather, it will inculcate within you the right kind of thinking about software architecture, software design, software engineering, that any good software architect practices as well as any good software engineer practices. Entire bootcamp is about becoming a better programmer, a better engineer. Whether you want to become an architect depends on you. Because a lot of people, after a couple of years in the programming, they want to become a manager and not an architect. So it's totally fine and it's totally up to you. But as I said in the beginning, even for the managers, this session is going to be helpful. These knowledge sessions are therefore useful for juniors, seniors, managers alike, but in no way these sessions promise to make you an architect. Why not? Because a person can become a software architect through experience. It's not just, you read couple of books and you get some certifications and you become an architect. Just not possible. It comes with a wisdom, and that wisdom can only be acquired through experience. I'm imparting some amount of knowledge, but that should not stop you from visiting other good channels, blogs, ebooks. In fact, you must identify such knowledge sources, knowledge repositories in the internet. And they have been created and maintained by our industry's gurus like Robert C. Martin or Martin Fowler or Kent Beck, Neil Ford. There's quite a few of them. So go to their sites, read what they have said in those sites, bookmark them, and these sites do not have to be from such gurus. There are also people like me, some common man. Some of them also have put up a very good content in the site. So while surfing through the internet, you just have to be cautious about one thing. Internet is a huge bank of articles and videos. I'm sure you know that on any given topic. However, not all of them may be suitable. There are a couple of reasons for that. For example, the articles themselves are factually incorrect. I'm not sure how many of these you have come across, but I've seen a lot. Or the articles were written way back, let's say 10 years, 15 years back. And our technology changes every other day. And therefore, those articles, completely or part of them, may be backdated. They may not make sense, or if you try to implement using those advices in those old articles, it may not work. And let's say you are studying a source code, you found some online source code, but that refers to .NET 3.5 features. But the current .NET offers much better solution. So that's why you have to be very careful about the articles when they were published, how latest they are, because we are talking about technology and technology changes every other day. And then there could also be a possibility that the author is a very knowledgeable person. His way or her way of explaining things is rather confusing. Not everyone is a good teacher, and not every good teacher is a good player. We know this from these football coaches and the cricket coaches. A lot of these coaches, they are great coaches, but they may not be good players themselves, and similarly, a lot of good players, they may not be good coaches themselves. So you need to develop that special and much needed skill to skim through the internet for the right content. And after you find them, bookmark. Next time you open your laptop, only go through these sites, because as soon as you search, there is a heavy risk that Google search engine poses that you will end up doing some random surfing, and therefore you will digress from your mission on that particular day. And it happens with all of us all the time. We start looking for something and then we click here, click there, and then we eventually end up at some place which we didn't want to in the first place. Now, you may also be thinking, is this yet another channel? The answer is yes and no. Yes, because if you pick up any topic from my sessions and then search in the internet, you would find a plethora of content on the same topic. No, because for this bootcamp session, I've stitched together many topics in a particular sequence, which from my earlier teaching experiences have found to be very useful. So you just have to follow that sequence. Will these sessions make you interview ready? Yes, to a large extent, because these sessions are not coding sessions, but deep dive sessions on some fundamentals accompanied by code wherever applicable, and your base will be very strong if you cover these sessions to face any challenges during the interviews. I'm very, very sure about it. Let's look at one example of a product. So let's say we need to build a product and it consists of some, let's say 10,000 wearable ECG devices. ECG devices are the devices which are used to check the health of our heart. And these devices, wearable devices, pump data to some cloud store at a frequency of 100 millisecond, and each data packet is, let's say, 1 kilobyte in size. So we are talking about data traveling and accumulating at 10 kb per second from 10,000 devices. That means in 1 second, there would be roughly 100 MB of data. Who uses this data? There are a few hundred doctors spread over geographically who, through their laptop or their mobile devices, they look at this data, and these data are coming from their patients. And how is the data presented? You must be already knowing that ECG is shown in a graph in a kind of a time series manner, right? Now, where lies the challenges? The challenge is multifold. Slightest delay in the data at any point in this entire journey may indicate that the patient is not doing well because there is a gap in the graph. Or worse still, he died. So, this product is a near real-time system working over an internet connection. It's a big, big task. Do you think you can architect a solution for this today? If not, this course is for you. Do you think you can identify all the architecturally significant requirements? If not, this course is for you. Do you know what are the weakmost problems or weakmost points in the entire data flow? If not, this course is for you. Can you yourself achieve the target application architecture, at least a reference architecture with all its critical needs? If not, this course is for you. I think that summarizes it all. So why wait? Let's start our session with the next video. Thank you.